This road is unsettling, and you won't believe why. Today you're going to learn about the most bizarre and dangerous roads in the world. Curious to discover each one? Then join us, and let's go. Number 13. Ashima Ohashi. If MC Escher designed a bridge, it would probably look like the Ashima Ohashi in Japan. From certain angles, this structure seems to defy the laws of physics, rising into the air like an impossible roller coaster. With a maximum gradient of 6.1% on the Shimane side and 5.1% on the Tottori side, driving across it feels like trying to scale a wall with your car. The optical illusion created by its unique design has made this bridge an internet sensation, with videos showing cars seemingly about to fall into an abyss at any moment. In reality, the experience of crossing it isn't as dramatic, but try telling that to your brain when you're climbing what appears to be a vertical ramp. It's the kind of bridge that makes you question whether your car has enough power or if you should have brought climbing gear. Number 12. The 99 Bens Road to Heaven. Topping our list is the road that seems to have been designed by a playful god with a twisted sense of humor. The 99 Bens Road on Tianmen Mountain, China. Picture 11 kilometers of pure adrenaline, winding up the mountainside like a dragon made of asphalt. Each of the 99 bends, yes, they've been counted, is a challenge to both nerves and driving skill. The number 99 wasn't chosen by chance. It's associated with the 9 celestial palaces of Taoism, giving the journey a mystical touch. As you ascend, each bend reveals more spectacular views, culminating at the top where the famous Heaven's Gate, a giant natural cave, awaits like a portal to another world. But don't think you can just hop into a rental car and try this adventure. Due to its extreme danger, including the lack of guardrails in many sections, this road is reserved only for tour buses and professional drivers. For the rest of us, mere mortals, we can only admire from afar and imagine what it would be like to face this divine challenge. Number 11. The roller coaster road in the Alps. The Stelvio Pass, nestled in the majestic Italian Alps, is the definition of a gravity-defying road. With 75 tight curves packed into just 47 kilometers, this route seems to have been designed by an engineer obsessed with zigzags and allergic to straight lines. As you climb, the air grows thinner, reaching nearly 2,800 meters above sea level. Car engines groan in protest, struggling against the altitude and steep inclines. Drivers, on the other hand, battle dizziness and nausea, unwanted side effects of repeatedly circling while ascending a mountain. The views are breathtaking, literally. Snow-capped peaks rise in all directions, creating a postcard-worthy panorama. But keep your eyes on the road. A moment's distraction could be your last. The curves are so sharp that at times you can see your own vehicle on the bend below, as if you're chasing yourself up the mountain. I have a question for you. First, I'd like to tell you that it's possible to keep up with the biggest curiosities of our world every day. But for that, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So have you subscribed yet? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Now that you've done that, let's go. Number 10. The Japanese Snow Corridor. Imagine driving through a canyon, but instead of rock walls, you're surrounded by towering walls of snow, reaching heights of up to 20 meters. This is the Japanese Snow Corridor. This surreal road only opens in April, after a Herculean effort by crews working tirelessly to carve a path through the massive layers of snow accumulated during Japan's long winter. Tons of snow are removed, creating walls so high that sunlight barely penetrates, turning the drive into a journey through an open-air white tunnel. As you proceed, the outside world disappears, replaced by a monumental maze of pristine white. The silence is almost oppressive, broken only by the sound of your engine and the occasional creak of settling snow. It feels like driving through a giant open-air freezer, with the constant reminder that tons of compacted snow are ready to collapse at any moment. The 90-kilometer route winds through this perpetual winter world, climbing from 7 meters up to an impressive 2,400 meters above sea level. The air gets thinner, the cold more intense, and the feeling of isolation grows with each turn. Number 9. The Bolivian Death Road. The Camino de la Muerte, or Death Road, in Bolivia didn't earn its grim nickname for nothing. This infamous 60-kilometer route connecting La Paz to Coroico was once considered the most dangerous road in the world, and for good reasons. You'll be driving on a dirt road just 3 meters wide at some points, literally clinging to the side of a cliff with drops of up to 600 meters on one side and a rock wall on the other. Now add tropical rains that turn the road into a mudslide, thick fog that reduces visibility to almost zero, and the fact that vehicles have to pass each other on blind curves where barely one car fits. Every year, dozens of vehicles would plunge off the cliff, taking hundreds of lives. The danger begins as soon as you leave La Paz. The road quickly climbs to 4,650 meters above sea level at La Cumbre Pass, where the air is so thin that both drivers and engines struggle to function. Then begins the steep descent, losing more than 3,000 meters in altitude in just 60 kilometers. Unexpected waterfalls cascade onto the road, creating impromptu water crossings that vehicles must navigate. Loose rocks constantly tumble down the hillside, turning each meter into a geological Russian roulette. And to add one final touch of madness, the local rule dictates that descending vehicles must stay on the outer edge of the road. Yes, the side with no protection at all. Today, a new road has eased some of the traffic, but the original route still attracts adrenaline-seeking adventurers and cyclists. Number 8. The Heavenly Highway from Hell. Panlong Road in China, known as the Heavenly Road of Pamir, is an engineering masterpiece that seems to have been designed by a god with a particularly twisted sense of humor. Seen from above, it resembles the sinuous tail of a celestial dragon winding through the steep slopes of the Kunlun mountain range. But don't be fooled by its ethereal beauty. There's a reason drivers have dubbed it the Road from Hell. In just 75 kilometers, this highway pushes the limits of physics and sanity, with over 600 U-shaped curves. The road climbs quickly, reaching altitudes that would make even an experienced climber think twice. The thin air at altitudes above 4,000 meters not only leaves engines gasping, but also drivers, who battle dizziness and nausea while negotiating each treacherous turn. The views are breathtaking, with snow-capped peaks and deep valleys stretching to the horizon. But keep your eyes on the road. One moment of distraction, admiring the scenery, could be your last. The road is so narrow in some sections that two vehicles can't pass side by side, turning each encounter into a deadly game of chicken at the edge of the cliff. To add a final touch of danger, landslides are common, turning parts of the road into rivers of mud and rocks without warning. Number 6. The Himalayan Roller Coaster. In the dizzying heights of the Himalayas, between China and Pakistan, there's a road that makes even the wildest roller coasters seem like child's play. The Karakoram Highway, already famous for its extreme altitude, got an even more challenging section in 2010, the Atabad Lake Tunnels. When a landslide swallowed part of the road, creating a lake where asphalt once lay, engineers had to think outside the box, or rather, inside the mountain. The solution? Carve 5 consecutive tunnels into the solid rock, more than 2,500 meters above sea level. Driving through these tunnels feels like entering a geological time machine. You plunge into total darkness, with only your headlights lighting the way. The air gets thin, and the claustrophobia kicks in. Then, suddenly, you emerge to a breathtaking view. Snow-capped peaks reflected in the turquoise waters of the lake. There's barely time to catch your breath before you're swallowed by the next tunnel. Number 5. The Karnali Highway. The Karnali Highway in Nepal is every road engineer's worst nightmare come to life. During the monsoon season, this road turns into a chaotic water park. Rivers of mud swallow the asphalt, turning cars into makeshift boats and drivers into reluctant captains. In certain stretches, spontaneous waterfalls cascade onto the road, creating curtains of water that vehicles have to drive through, like something out of a low-budget action movie. On one side, a dizzying cliff threatens to swallow any vehicle that dares to get too close to the edge. On the other, an unstable rock wall seems ready to collapse at any moment. Landslides are so common that the locals are no longer surprised. They simply grab their shovels and start digging, as if it were just another day at the office. Drivers report spending hours stuck in traffic jams caused not by heavy traffic, but by tons of mud blocking the way. Number 4. Passage du Gouas. On the French coast, there's a road that plays hide-and-seek with the ocean. The Passage du Gouas, connecting Noirmoutier Island to the mainland, is a 4.3-kilometer stretch that disappears twice a day. It's not magic, it's the tide. During high tide, the road is completely submerged, turning into a paradise for fish and a nightmare for unsuspecting drivers. Locals have developed a sixth sense for tide schedules, but for tourists, it's an aquatic roulette. Signs warn drivers, danger. Submersible road, as if anyone needed reminding that driving underwater is a bad idea. Rescue towers dot the path, silent witnesses to countless dramatic rescues. Stories circulate of cars being swept away by the current, with drivers desperately swimming to safety. The road's surface, covered in slippery algae, adds an extra element of challenge. Number 3. Dalton Highway. The Dalton Highway in Alaska is the kind of road that makes you question both your survival skills and your sanity for choosing to drive on it. Stretching 666 kilometers through some of North America's most remote and unforgiving landscapes, this route is a test of endurance for both vehicles and drivers. During Alaska's long, brutal winter, which lasts most of the year, the Dalton turns into a treacherous sheet of ice. Snowstorms can appear out of nowhere, reducing visibility to 0 in seconds. The Arctic wind howls constantly, whipping up snowdrifts that can blind even the most focused driver. Temperatures that plunge to -50°C aren't uncommon, freezing vital vehicle fluids and turning metal as fragile as glass. In the brief summer, the gravel surface turns into a dusty nightmare. Massive potholes, capable of swallowing an entire tire, appear without warning. Dust kicked up by passing trucks creates clouds that reduce visibility to 0, forcing drivers to pull over, praying they won't get rear-ended. With only 3 gas stations along the entire route, running out of fuel isn't just inconvenient, it's potentially fatal. Long stretches of the road lack cell service, meaning if you run into trouble, you might be waiting for hours or even days for help. And as if that weren't enough, there's the constant risk of wildlife encounters. Moose, which can weigh over 700 kilograms, have the inconvenient habit of wandering onto the road. A collision with one of these giants often ends badly for both parties. Bears are also a constant concern, especially if you need to exit your vehicle for any reason. Number 2. Guoyang Road. In the Taihang Mountains, Shanxi Province, there's a road that makes you question the sanity of the engineers who designed it. Carved into the side of a cliff, with barely enough room for a single vehicle, this road winds along 1,600 meters of pure adrenaline. On one side, a solid rock wall threatens to scrape your car. On the other, a drop of hundreds of meters promises a fall you won't live to tell about. Without guardrails, every turn is a game of Russian roulette with gravity. The uneven asphalt adds an extra thrill, as if driving along the edge of an abyss weren't exciting enough. Blind curves make you pray you don't meet another vehicle coming the opposite way. And if that's not enough, the region is famous for its unpredictable weather. In a matter of minutes, a dense fog can swallow the road, turning your trip into a blind survival game. Local drivers tell stories of vehicles that simply vanished into the clouds, never to be seen again. Number 1. Winston Churchill Avenue. In Gibraltar, someone had the brilliant idea to combine a busy road with an airport runway. The result? Winston Churchill Avenue, a road that crosses directly over the Gibraltar Airport's runway. Imagine calmly driving to work, and suddenly, barriers drop, lights flash, and you have to wait while a Boeing 737 lands just meters from your windshield. Local drivers have developed a sixth sense for flight schedules, planning their trips like amateur air traffic controllers. For tourists, it's a surreal experience. One minute you're admiring the famous Rock of Gibraltar, and the next you're counting the rivets on the fuselage of a plane flying over your car. The wait times can be epic, with impatient drivers hoping the pilot makes a quick landing. And when the barriers finally lift, it's a mad dash across the runway, still warm from the plane's tires. Now I want to know, which of these roads scared you the most? Tell me down in the comments. Well, go ahead and click on the video that's popping up on your screen, because I picked it out just for you. That's it, and see you next time. Curious one.